everyone, it's Lynn, Common Core Diva, and yes, I know it's a beautiful day outside. I know you probably can see the sun from where I'm at, but anyway, I just wanted to let you know I am raw. Not all duded up for the press, but that's okay, because what I have to say is not about me. It's about our nation. It's about our kids. And I don't know if you guys know or not, but probably since about March of this year, Facebook has chosen to continue to censor my articles. And I must be hitting some sort of nerve, because any other time I can post anything and it's just fine. But anyway, the part of it that I need to express to you guys is, first of all, thank you for joining me. I know it's a busy time, but we're taking time out to learn what we can to protect not only our nation but our kids as well. And I just wanted to thank you guys for your continued support. Now, that being said, I've got the volume up as much as I can. I'm by myself, so this is why everything's a little bit rough and everything. But hey, Dan, how are you? It's good to see you. We need to get hooked up for North Carolina and getting the word back out. So thanks for all that you do. But I just wanted to let everyone know, if you have a question, use the feed for the event to write your question, because everything that I've got this afternoon, I'm hoping it won't take the entire hour and a half, but I just wanted to set that side of time so that if there are questions, you guys can post them, because I'm doing the live feed through the phone, and then I've got the computer hooked up as well. So anyway, that's just a little bit of housekeeping. Thank you guys again so much. Now, one of the reasons why I think that I'm being censored so much, and I've had many people tell me that, oh, you're just, you're delusional. Facebook is censoring everyone. But what I've noticed is, depending on what your belief is or what evidence you have, it's getting more and more censored. Now, I'm not finding that so much on Twitter, so my news is getting out that way. But like I said, since March, it's been a decrease in how much is shared. And just this past week, I believe it was, there was one article that I published, and it was about the collectivism being taught in our schools that has to do with the United Nations push for global education, that Facebook chose not only to block me from posting it, but they removed it from several groups that I had posted it. So this is how I know I'm hitting a nerve. And I got to thinking, you know what? If they won't let me post, they can't stop me right now from doing a video. So that's why I am doing this video. I'm going to go over a couple of the articles, well, actually more than a couple, but I'm going to go over some of the articles that have been getting the most heat as far as being censored. And those, of course, would have to do with the particular United Nations Every Student Succeeds Act intertwining. So think of it kind of like this, okay? They're intertwined on purpose. And it's not just the Every Student Succeeds Act. It will encompass the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. It will also include the STEM Act of 2015, I believe it is, and the rewriting of the Higher Education Act as well. Hey, Gudrun, how are you? Thank you so much for joining. Okay, I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm going to go through these. I've written up short notes. Since you are following me, know that you can find all the complete information and articles on my blog, and that's www.commoncorediva.wordpress.com. You can find me on Twitter at Common Core Diva, and I also have a page that was set up for me called U.S. Parent Call to Action, I believe is the name of it. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to back it up to the 16th of this month. And that article was called Live from the U.S. Now, why I wrote this one up was I was at the eye doctor's office earlier this month, and while my youngest is in getting her eye exam, I'm looking through a Southern Living magazine, which, if you know Southern Living, it's all about how to decorate your home, what vegetables go great in your region, that sort of thing. And I stumble upon this ad that's going live September 8th. Rethinking High School, and then it said Project XQ. Now, I knew that I had written up about XQ before, but what is so scary about this one is that the redefinition of our high schools hasn't just started. It's been in the works for a little while, and the big groups like Advanced Ed, Council of Chief State School Officers, all those Common Core machine members have had a hand in it, as well as we know the Bill Gates Foundation. So when I found out that this was being broadcast over the major 4 networks, that would be ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, on September the 8th, I knew there had to be something in it. So now we're seeing the Common Core machine hook up with Hollywood to bring us this, why we have to change education. So I want you to think of it kind of like we're going from the Flintstones car mobile to a Ferrari. This is how they're antiquating the traditional types of education that we've had for years, which has served us well. And we know when Common Core entered the picture, things started to go downhill. We know that supposedly ESSA got rid of Common Core, but we also know that was a big fat hairy lie. It actually codified it. All right. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Thank you for joining. Okay, so just wanted to let you know that that live article is going to expose the C.A.W.s machine, as I call it, and the UN agenda, and all the players who are behind this major network broadcast that, again, will be on September the 8th. Now, ESSA, as I just said, codified. Hey, Annette, how are you? Thank you. ESSA codified the Common Core State Standards Initiatives, and I want you to listen to this phrase, warriors, lifelong learning. Now, that's not an ESSA thing. That is a United Nations and also the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development term that was used or created back in the 1990s to revolutionize the 1970s style education. So this is something that ESSA has woven in. It is a cycle, if you will, to breed workforce trained, educated workers, not academically gifted students. And it certainly doesn't do anything to factor in how our kids learn at different age levels or if there's special needs or anything like that. I know you guys know all that kind of stuff, so I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here. I'm just trying to let you know how this all does happen to factor into everything. The lifelong learning also will go into the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Goal number 4 is education for all, and I believe it's goal number 8. I'm not sure about the workforce training, but it's in there as well. There are 17 sustainable development goals. Okay. Now, this is going to create a constant flow of data, as we already know. We're seeing that everywhere. Laptops are being forced upon our kids, and that's a violation of not only the child's civil rights to privacy and freedom, that also encroaches on the family's civil rights as well. So are there legal laws that help protect us with those things? Absolutely. Okay. So now what I've told you is this TV show that's coming up is going to be on September 8th. It's going to be on all 4 major networks, and it's going to harp on the redesign of education, that our old system is broken. Well, we know that, but we also know that as long as the Common Core machine is in education, it's not going to get fixed. Okay, so Hollywood is ramping up our rhetoric, and I want to share with you, and pardon me, I'm going to slip over to my computer for just a moment. Here, now I can't show this to you, but you can see it in the article. And again, this article is from the 16th of August, and it was called Live from the U.S. And this particular slide is from a program called the Learning Studios program. It first and foremost provided me with new activities to push my students' thinking. These learning activities not only connected my students with classrooms around the world, but also asked them to think globally by aligning their work and designs to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Now, this was a direct quote from a educator at a high school in Chicago. Okay? Now, the social and emotional mind games that are going on as part of the Sustainable Development Goals, we know all breeds collectivism. And this is, I think, another reason why Facebook especially has been censoring me, because I'm finding more and more evidence about how this is actually playing out in our classrooms. And Facebook, being part of the problem or part of the global alignment, doesn't want us to know that collectivism is actually totally against anything that is American-made or American derived. And, we've got hundreds of years of history that will prove that our nation certainly was not about collectivism. So anyway, just wanted to let you know. Now, the warning about this particular live video or TV show that you're going to need to know about is that the lifelong learning will be ramped up. They might bring in United Nations stuff. They may not, because if we're going to try to see this passed off as American-made, we certainly can't have UN stuff showing up. But just wanted you to know about that, okay? How is this going to affect classrooms in the 2017-18 school year? Well, just so you know, I was part of a webinar a couple of days ago for the pre-release of the North Carolina school data report, and it's only just now bringing out the 2016-17 school year data, and part of that data will be a workforce-based assessment called Work Keys. And that's going to be given not only to our public school kids, but that's going to be given to everyone who's in dual enrollment, early college. Let's say you're out of school and you go down to your career centers or your job employment services. You're going to find the work keys there. So that's one of the key things that ties some of this together between the global lifelong learning and the Sustainable Development Goals, is that one assessment. Now, that assessment is from the ACT company, which is also part of the alignment for the academic assessments, if you will. Think of it like another part of the SAT. All right, so moving on from that. Now, before we move on from that, does anyone have any sort of questions that you want to ask about this particular live stream broadcast that's going to be happening on September the 8th? If so, be sure to leave me a message on the feed for this particular event. Like I said, I am doing this by myself, so it's kind of like jack of all trades, master of none. I don't know. Anyway, we'll muddle through this. But again, thanks so much. I know this is raw feed, and I know, like I said, the information is really, really important. Lisa, you've asked, can you give us a link to the goals? I've had it before, but it's kind of buried. Okay, I will be sure to post that particular link again on this event page. I will tell you, I've mentioned it in several of my articles. It's very easy to find. There are 17 of them in all, and they are a modernized version, if you will, of Agenda 21. And you'll notice every time you see these sustainable goals talked about, which will probably be done in this September 8th TV special, you'll see a circle, and then you'll see all kinds of colors all the way around it. Now, it won't be a rainbow with the different colors, but it's going to be different colors alternated, okay? And I think there's like orange and turquoise, and I don't know, there's probably some sort of subliminal thing behind that as well. So anyway, not that I have my tinfoil hat on too tight, guys, but anyway, just wanted to let you know, yes, I will post that, okay? All right, now, as far as another article of mine that was censored as of late was called Overt Education, and that published on my blog on the 19th of August, and this was all about the Common Core machines pushing the CBE. And if you don't know what CBE is, that's competency-based education, which again ties us all back to the workforce skilled student or worker, not an academic student. So anyway, just wanted to let you know that. Now, what this is, to the push to competency education, is not only going to continue the Common Core assault on education it's going to find it codified again in ESA and WIOA and HEA, the STEM Act. But know that every one of these particular laws have several technical amendments that are attached to them. So if you don't see it particularly in the law itself, look at some of the connecting laws that were created to go with it, okay? Now, it's causing some of our U.S. schools to forego graded assignments or diplomas. I know you guys have heard about that throughout the nation. It's kind of giving a no pressure, nobody's going to fail kind of attitude. So that's dangerous, because we need to have graded assignments. We need to have diplomas. Diplomas are being replaced by certificates, and the danger with the certificate is if you're not globally recognized as being competent, you cannot get a job. If you cannot get a job, then what happens to your family? Your family is going to start suffering, and then that's a great platform for the nanny state to come in and take care of us. So this is how it's being used through education, is that we have to have everything to these competency-based goals. That again is a United Nations derivative. All right, the global roots for competency-based education has now become the law of the land in the United States due to the ones I've already mentioned. Now, I found in this particular I found for this particular article an Open Education United Nations created document from Brazil back in 2009, which brings up foregoing grades, changing diplomas, no pressure, open design classrooms where there are no desks. And in this particular article, I show you a New York school which has actually done this. The article is also going to show you how there are huge digital and technical ties in this article. It's going to highlight 3 states, Florida, North Carolina, and New York. And what is so important about this is, while I show you what's going on in these 3 states that will take and tie competency-based to the digital and the technology, it's a warning for the other 47 states, because we know what's in one state is going to be in the others as well. Okay, it's going to be sort of clandestine-like in your state, but make no mistake, it is on the way. It's already been in the foundation of your state's education and workforce laws as well. Now, I want to share with you another quote from another educator, or supposed educator, and this one is in that overt article as well. And this was a quote that was featured in a North Carolina 2013 Task Force for Global Education. And this is the quote: "If Americans are to continue to prosper and to exercise leadership in this new global context, it is imperative that we understand the new global forces that we have both shaped and had thrust upon us. The alternative is to be at their mercy." And this was stated back in 2012 by a person called Vivian Stewart. It's from a document called World-Class Education, Learning from International Models of Excellence and Innovation, and you can find that on page 9. Now, I have also embedded that entire document for you in that particular article, so if you want to find out even more, I urge you to find that document in the article. Okay? You're not getting sound? I'm sorry, Jonelle. Is that any better? That's okay. All right, so we're going to move on. Does anyone have any questions about this overt thrust for a global context before we move on? Okay. All righty. Now, the me means collective. This is the one that Facebook really took down. This was on August the 22nd. It uncovered what's known as a we movement. Now, a we movement has been going on for a little while, and just like with the global education and the sustainable education, the sustainable development goals, this particular program involves several aspects. It involves your community. Education just happens to be one arm of this particular movement, okay? Unilever is a huge backer of this particular project that's going on. Now, since 2010, Unilever, and I want you to think all the brands that Unilever creates. You've got our Breyer's ice cream. You've got, oh my goodness, you've got all kinds of home products that Unilever makes. But since 2010, Unilever has been slowly infiltrating our education via our national parks education system, dual enrollment programs, and even their employee guidebook for 2016-17 has a benefit for all employees directly tied to Common Core, and that is tutoring for all their family members in the SAT, the ACT, or any other Common Core subject, and they use that by name. So this is a document that was created after ESSA supposedly did away with Common Core, but yet you have this global corporation naming Common Core subjects as a benefit for their employees' families. Talk about alignment and indoctrination under our noses, people. Okay, Business Roundtable. We've known for years that they were a big backer of Common Core as well. They happen to have had a meeting a few years ago back in East Africa, I believe it was. And in my particular article about the me meaning collective, I give you this particular document. But why it's tied to Unilever is that Unilever was at this particular meeting. And the goal of the meeting, warriors, was to have the Business Roundtable and everyone at that table to say, not only are we going to uphold the United Nations business guiding principles, we're going to do everything we can in our respective countries to make it happen. And Unilever has an American arm. So they were part of this particular meeting. When you go to this particular article on my blog, I want you to look at the video from the We movement about the global citizens that the schools connected to the We movement are breeding. Now, most of them right now are in Canada, but we do have some that are here in the United States, and more will be happening. This particular article also will give you the values education research papers where you will see the shift away from I need to be educated so that I can be the best person that I can be to make positive contributions in my society to the let's, have group collective thinking, let's do everything as a group. That is the prevailing goal of this particular values research. Now, values shows up in social and emotional learning, and it's showing up in all kinds of ways that the Sustainable Development Toolkit that has been created, and that was in the early 2000s, expressly says we're going to use education as our change agent. And this is one of the ways to do it, by changing how you believe, what you value, what you hold near and dear to your hearts. All right, since 2001, collectivism in education for the global good has been sped up by artificial means. And I revealed this in this particular article, and that is the me means collective, and how it's been artificially pumped up, as we know, has been all the propaganda from the Common Core machine. All right, it's using social justice and social issues as a values base rather than academic prowess. And of course, we all can attest to that. So if you've missed that article, because again, like I said, once I posted it, and this I think is the first time that Facebook ever did this to me, and that was they pulled it from a lot of the groups that I usually post in. So again, this is not about me. This is not about Facebook. This is about beating them at getting this information out. And so since they saw fit to take down my articles, I'm making sure there's at least some sort of video proof that yes, we have this information, and yes, we need to work together to pull it out. Okay, just yesterday, seeing more in education. Now, this one, if you got it, great. If you didn't, well, we know where we can all share this information. This one focuses on the social and emotional learning and the psychological profile shifting that's going to involve our teachers. Now, ESSA is full of teacher mandates and teacher makeovers, and it's absolutely criminal what is going on with our teachers. The main conduit will be this computer-driven education and performance strings that these teachers will have to dance to. Part of one of my earlier articles showed you, per the ESSA definitions, learner doesn't mean just the student anymore. It means the teacher as well. So they're going to be put on a level playing field here instead of there being a teacher and then a student. That's got danger written all over it as well, and I'm going to tell you how. Okay, this particular article also will feature a person by the name of Seymour, and I'm not sure how you say his last name, but it's P-A-P-E-R-T, and it's paper with a T, but he was not from America. He was from another country, so there may be some sort of pronunciation that I don't know about it. He has since passed, but he has been considered as a computer science father for our nation. He is mentor and altering belief person who he gave credit to was Jean Piaget, and that's Jeanpiaget, and he was a UNESCO Education Chief Officer. So what I'm saying is that Seymour, back in the day when he was earning one of his master's degree, came under Jean's mentorship, and Jean altered, and I found this in a paper where Seymour said, he altered my belief system about child education. And yet Seymour and Jean, both in their different roles, one for UNESCO and one here in the United States, laid a foundation for computer. So if you've got a kid with a laptop that's a mandate from a school, you can trace it back to this kind of partnership, if you will. One of the shifts that we're seeing with this computer-based education is that it's student-led or personalized learning. That's how it's sold to our legislators. That's how it's sold to us as parents and taxpayers. But the purpose of this, and evidence can bear this out, is that it shows a shift of responsibility from the teacher or the adult to the student. Now, this means that your accountability is also going to shift. So watch for this in your states as ESSA is continued to be implemented, okay? It's, again, setting the kids up for nanny state control, because guess what? Not every kid is going to have the maturity to be able to be a self-starter or a self-learner or self-directed. Some kids are going to need massive amounts of leadership from our teachers, okay? Grinding our teachers down, as we have seen, kills their creativity and their variety, and I show you how in this particular article. And it turns them into pipeline rigorous supply model leaders, okay? Another shift that is supporting the computers and the technology and the digital came from D.C. since at least 1995. And in this particular article, I give you the C-SPAN video where Seymour is giving witness testimony as a respected expert as to why we need to shift to computer-based education. And this is in 1995, well before Common Core, if you will, by that brand name, came into being. Now, since the death of both Seymour and Jean, how all this has continued to be a foundation: STEM, STEAM, Next Generation Science Standards, C3, which is our civics education as well, and it's all leading more towards the shift for child psychology and artificial intelligence. And of course, we all know about that as well. Now, does anyone have any questions about any of that before I move on? Okay, let me check my Facebook page to make sure. And I urge you guys, please make sure that you share this. Like I said, no, it's not fancy polished. It's not, anything that could win an Academy Award, but that's not my goal. My goal is to get you this particular information. Okay, I don't see any questions. Feel free to let me know if you need any other resources. Lisa, I will make sure that I get that particular information for you. Hey Maria, how are you? Okay. The last thing that I have to give you guys, and like I said, I did set aside till 2:30, but I wasn't sure if there would be questions or discussion or anything like that, so I wanted to make sure that we had time. I've pretty much brought you up to speed on all the things that were being censored that need to get out there, so I'm trusting that you guys will go visit the blog, will pull these articles back up, and get them out there, because this stuff is not going away. It absolutely isn't. And I want to let you know, if you have not heard, there is a national campaign that I'm involved with that's called Child Abuse in the Classroom, a legal challenge to ESSA. Now, yeah, ESSA is a legal law. We know that, okay? But it's illegally based, as was No Child Left Behind, as was Race to the Top, as was everything that follows, okay? But we have other laws, warriors, that will absolutely supersede and trounce ESSA in the ground. But we need people. Thank you, Lisa. We need people from across the United States, and we already have, I think, about 20 states involved in this national campaign, to join us, because we want to let our leadership know, and that could be federal or state, that we have their number, we have the weapons, and we're not afraid to use them. Now, if you've not heard of this, it is based off the book by Phyllis Schlafly that was written back in the 80s called Child Abuse in the Classroom. So that's where the name for the campaign came from. You can find the particular website is called childabuseintheclassroom.com. You can also find us on Twitter, and it's at CA.WS. We're going to have a national press release in 3 different locations in September the 20th. We've got everything set up. We just need the warriors on the ground. If you're in a state, when you go to this particular website, if you go to a state that has no leadership, step up. Don't be afraid. Everything is done for you. It's all there. All you have to do is say, hey, I am really in for this. I really want to help, okay? And again, that is childabuseintheclassroom.com. I'm looking at it right now. Hang on just a second. I'll show you what the website looks like. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but that's what the website looks like, okay? All right. We need people to help us get involved. We have 3 press conferences set up. One will be in Indianapolis, Indiana. One will be in Atlanta, Georgia. And one will be in Austin, Texas. And no matter where you live, if you can't get to those 3, I think they're going to be live streamed. I will be personally speaking at the one in Atlanta. So if you're from the region, or you're from out of state but close to Atlanta, and you want to drive over and support us, that would be super. Again, it's not about me, or those of us who are leading this. It's about saving our children. It's about saving our nation and stopping this illegal grasp on education, okay? I just wanted to give you a shout out about that as well. Anything that can be done to help your state leaders. Let's say your state does have a representative. For example, I'm the state leader for North Carolina, but I need help in getting to our legislators, to our governor, to our governor's cabinet. I can't do it all by myself. So yes, we need folks in all the states, because this stuff, as we know, is not going away. It's in all our states, and I know that all of us are working hard to stop it, and we finally have a chance to do that with this legal challenge. Our goal is to seek an audience first and foremost with our legislators, be they federal or state. If that doesn't work, then yes, there is the evidence that will absolutely support legal action should it need to to be taken. So if you can help us on the ground, super. If you can help us in just getting the information out, that would be great as well. If you want to help by spreading the word, or you know someone who says, well, you know what, this isn't my cup of tea, but I know someone who this would be perfect for, let them know about it. At this moment, it's all grassroots, volunteer, and that's how we like it. That's how things get done. All right, does anyone have any other questions or anything before I sign off? Because actually, I'm through. Like I said, I do appreciate all your support. I know it takes more than one of us to make this happen. If you can get this particular video out, that would help. Again, my apologies for the low tech, but oh well, I do what I can. But thank you guys for listening in. Thank you so much for all your support. And again, if you need to contact me, I'm on Twitter at Common Core Diva. My WordPress is commoncorediva.wordpress.com. Of course, you can find me on Facebook, where you're at right now. And, you know, if there's any way that I can help you in your state, whether it's a video, whether it's an article, whether it's in-person speaking, please let me know. I will be so glad to do whatever I can, because you know what? I got involved in this fight because I cared about what was going to be a future, not only for my kids, but for all the kids who I helped lead and teach and mentor, and it's just so important. So everyone have a super weekend. Get out there. Let's keep up the fight, and thanks so much, guys. Take care. Bye.